my channel. My name is Siarra. If you're new, if you aren't new, thank you guys again so much for tuning into another video. So as you guys can tell by the title and by the scenery, we're going to be doing a little bit of a bake with me video. Now, disclaimer, I am not a baker, I'm not a chef, I'm not really one for the kitchen. I can do it, but I don't like to. So today we're going to be making sugar cookies and we're going to be making something called Oreo balls. I found both of the recipes online. The Oreo balls, I found one of my YouTubers that I watch, she was making them for Vlogmas, and I was like, oh, that looks good, so I'm gonna try it too. And it looked pretty easy, so yeah. And then the sugar cookies, I was actually gonna do a TikTok recipe that I saw, but that one I was reading the comments and the ingredients that the girl was giving, a lot of people were saying it wasn't working, and I'd rather just do something that I know will probably and most likely work. So that's what we're gonna do, sugar cookies and cake balls. So first we're gonna do cake balls just because that one's a little bit easier, and you put them in the freezer. Okay, so the first thing you're gonna need to make the Oreo cookie balls is, of course, Oreos. Then you're gonna need chocolate and cream cheese. So the chocolate, the video I watched, she suggested that you don't use milk chocolate like chips just because it didn't melt as well. So I'm gonna use these Lindor milk chocolate. She also used white chocolate, but I personally am not like a huge fan of white chocolate, so I'm just gonna be using milk chocolate. So let's get started. So the first step is going to be to crush up the Oreos. The recipe calls for 36, so I'm gonna use this food processor to cut the Oreos up. So after the Oreos are chopped up, I went ahead and poured it into a mixing bowl, and then from there I went ahead and put some of the cookie crumbs to the side to use it as a design for the Oreo balls later in the video. Next up, we have to dump the 8-ounce cream cheese and into another mixing bowl, and then I went ahead and started to mix it with a blender just to get it to a more softer consistency. So here I am now just mixing the cookie crumble and the cream cheese mixture, just mixing them together to get it to more of a darker consistency where you can't visibly see the cream cheese anymore. I will say though, it was actually really hard to do this part just because it wasn't blending very easily, like if it had like a lot more moisture to it. So this part was a little bit harder. It kept getting stuck and I had to use a spoon to like get it out and then mix it again. So that pan I was using ended up not being small enough to fit in my freezer, so I just put it in one of those like foil pans, but I still kept it on the parchment paper and I put it in the freezer, and it's going to be in there for about 20 to 25 minutes, so I'll take it out at 10:20. So right now we're going to start melting the chocolate. I did use the whole bag of Lindor chocolate. It was about 13 pieces, and then I put it in the microwave. I'm not sure how long I did put it in the microwave for, but I know that I checked it about 3 or 4 times just to make sure it didn't burn and to make sure that it was melting all the way through. So in this clip here, I am now taking the melted chocolate and taking the Oreo balls, and I'm just dipping them inside of the chocolate. I did find that it was easier later to just use my fingers. So now that all the chocolates were dipped, I went ahead and used that cookie crumble that I put to the side earlier, and I started to drizzle it on top of the Oreo balls. Now that I've shown you guys that I covered it in chocolate, put the little crumbs on it, I put it back in the freezer. Probably leave it in the freezer for about like 5 minutes, let them get hard. Then I'm gonna plate them, show you guys, clean up, and then we'll start with the sugar cookies. Okay guys, so this is the finished product. They look good. I haven't tasted them yet. I'm gonna taste one right now. I'm also gonna have my mom try it and see what she says. But yeah, this is what they look like. It was pretty easy, not hard at all. All right, so I'm about to try one for you guys. Get the first reaction. It's thick. It's good. So after trying them again off camera, I realized that I didn't really like them. They were like way too thick and too much chocolate at the same time. It was just a lot going on. It reminds me of a cake pop, but it's not a cake pop. All right guys, so next up in this segment, we're going to do sugar cookies. Now this is my first time making sugar cookies. Whenever I want cookies like baked, I usually buy the packages and then put it in the oven, and that's it. So it's my first time making cookies from scratch. Again, you don't bake. Okay, it's not what I do. So I looked up a recipe on Google. I got all the ingredients. So let's get started. I'm gonna be measuring out 2 3/4 cups of flour. I honestly probably should have adjusted this recipe before I started, just because this makes 48 servings and I have way too much left over. So now that all of the flour is poured inside of the mix, I'm going to be adding 1 teaspoon of baking soda, and then I'll be adding ½ a teaspoon of baking powder, and then I'm just going to put it to the side. The last step of this section is just to make sure you mix it well and then put it to the side so that you can start on step 2. So for this next step, you're going to need 1 cup of butter softened. I went ahead and used the unsalted butter. It comes with 4 in a pack, but you only need 2 sticks because 2 sticks does equal 1 cup. So because it has to be softened, I went ahead and put it in the microwave for about 1.5 minutes. It wasn't long enough, so I put it in for a couple seconds longer, and then as you can see, I dropped it all over the floor. So I ended up having to use the entire pack, so I microwaved 2 more packs of butter. Step 2, you're going to get 1.5 cups of Domino's white sugar, or any sugar that you please. Then you're going to take your butter mixture and go ahead and start to stir it inside the bowl. I used a fork. Later on you'll see that once I try to mix everything, I do end up using a blender. For this part, I was actually really lucky because if I didn't have any more vanilla extract, I would actually have been really upset because that was all that was left. So I ended up having a teeny bit that was good enough to use for the mixture. Now, once everything is in the bowl, you're going to start to slowly pour a little bit of the flour mixture that you made in the beginning into the egg and sugar mixture. As you can see, I'm doing it with a fork, but like I said before, I do end up switching to a blender just because it was a lot easier and a lot faster to mix. So now we're getting to the end of the process. We're going to take the dough and start to roll it into balls and place it on a non-stick cookie sheet. For this part, I actually, like I said in the beginning, I used way too much. I should have lessened the serving size. So these cookies will come out super huge. My suggestion is to definitely change the serving size if it's only going to be you, because I still have cookie dough left over that I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with. The recipe says that you should leave it in the oven for about 8 to 10 minutes. I ended up leaving it in for 9, and then I kept it in a little bit longer after that for about 3 more minutes, just because I wanted it to be a little bit more brown and crispy on the edges. So this is what the cookies look like once I took them out of the oven. They are super huge. Okay, so the sugar cookies are done. They look pretty good. I'm gonna taste one for you guys. Quick interruption in this video. I had to mute it just because the chewing noises in a silent room was literally killing me. It sounded so crazy. These are actually good. Just call me Betty Crocker, okay? Alright guys, so that is gonna be the end of this video. Make sure you guys are still entering the giveaway. The giveaway doesn't end until December 24th, 11:59 p.m. Make sure you guys like, comment, share, and subscribe. And thank you guys so much for tuning into day 3 of my 12 days of Christmas. Bye.